Listen up, scarecrows. It is time for General Hospital Snarkcast. Hey, before we do anything today, please like, subscribe, follow on all the different platforms that are out there. If there's a platform out there, we're probably on it. Except,
Probably.
okay, we're not on Twitch, and we're not on, well, just look for us. I'm Snark Jr. I'm with Mama Snark. Welcome to this week's Snarkcast. Let's get right into it. Willow's trial. Go.
Whoa. I want to say something. And it has to do with one of the rules on the page, and that is spoilers. And, okay, so back in the day, remember back in the day, the whole fluke reveal? Somebody spoiled that for me 100 years ago. And ever since then, I'm like, no, I don't want it spoiled. Well, my problem is I didn't get spoiled on our page. I got spoiled on somebody else's page. And I should have known better than to read the internet on a Friday afternoon. But yeah, so I knew it was coming.
It's tough. It's tough because there are fanatics out there, and I mean fanatics, that they're posting stuff like within 2 seconds
Oh, they're live posting.
of when the show ends. And you're like, could you wait a minute?
Well, you can get,
spoiler
I don't know
alert.
if people know this, but you can get a recap at 3 p.m. Pacific time on that day. So people are on it, and maybe some of these people get pre-screening. I don't know, but it's kind of nuts.
It's early in some parts of the country.
Yeah,
Even though
and
they're
I-
different time zones, General Hospital's shown at an earlier time. Like most markets tend to show it at 2 o'clock, except the ABC-owned stations. So when I'm in New York, I get the show at 3 o'clock. If I'm in South Carolina, I get the show at 2 o'clock. But we're in the same time zone.
Yeah, I get that,
it's
and I
crazy,
get all
yeah.
that, but it was spoiled for me. So I watched Friday's episode last night with a little bit of a kind of, I'm annoyed that I know what's going to happen, right? I mean, we had a feeling that was what was going to happen, but we didn't know, and now we know. And so now we move into, somebody mentioned on the page that Willow could still be tried for perjury if they find proof. You know they're going to go after Michael. I don't know. Are they like, they've got the courtroom set all warmed up? We're just going to have a whole bunch of trials in a row. I don't know.
I mean, I was actually doing my due diligence last night and looking up New York state law. You know, like, can a person be retried?
Yeah.
It's the whole double jeopardy thing. Can a person be retried? Or, like you just mentioned, get her on other charges? How, what, where, when, how is this going to play out? But I'm actually excited that it's gone this way. Now, people just want this to be over. But
Yeah.
at least now we're in, like, the next phase of the story. We're not wondering. I did take a little issue with Elizabeth Corti and Chris Von Etten.
I have
the
not read it
head
yet.
writers. They said during the process, we decided to make it Willow because, and I'm thinking, you know, we both know this as mystery fans. The first rule of thumb: know your killer before you plan your murder mystery. And I was
You need
just
to know
like,
your killer even before you plan who gets killed.
right.
You start there. Yeah.
Right. I was so hopeful. Like, for once they got it right. This makes sense. It's a major character. And then I'm like, they were doing their little dartboard post-it notes on the wall, which makes the most sense. Credit where credit is due.
It worked.
It worked. So maybe I shouldn't quibble, but it was too good to be true. They would get it right, you know, but they did.
I enjoyed your snarks this morning, particularly about the Katrina Detectives Agency, Kai Trina, and how Trina took it upon herself to berate Alexis, the attorney, who's had all this education and experience, but Trina, by George, had to read her the riot act.
Well, she made up with Jordan, so she needs a new enemy.
Oh my gosh. I tell you, we're not going to go down the Trina and Kai rabbit hole because we all know how we feel about that.
Well, and again, they should have been, I mean, not that I need to see more of those two in a scene, but they should have been in the forefront all along. It was like weeks would go by, and it was Trina whining about her parents, And, you started to forget that they were there.
Well,
and that
even
tune
forget
made any sense.
what ringtone did we hear? It's like they kept talking about this ringtone, and I'm going back and going, I don't remember a ringtone into the whole
Again,
thing.
they didn't, when they were showing the attempt, they didn't point up your clues. They didn't point that up. I remember so many people on the page saying, what was that little tinkling music that was playing?
Yeah, exactly.
When he got shot. Like, they didn't realize that was a ringtone that went off. And it was, And again, they could have gone. My favorite pick was Scout shot him. That would have been my choice.
Well, and then lately it was Wiley shot him. I'm like, what?
Wiley. Or Danny.
Or Danny.
Either one of those would have made sense.
This will be interesting because they've indicated, now whether they're going to go down this road or not, they've indicated that Willow is definitely someone with some serious mental illness things. I mean, that's what they intimated. But now we're going back over to they're not really talking about what Willow did with Daisy and moving the baby around and all that. That's kind of been forgotten, right? So now we have Free Willow, who is going to be absolutely freaking out about seeing her kids, and we're going to start that whole thing again. So I don't know what they're going to do, but Willow is unstable, and we don't know which way they're going to. Are they going to make her nefarious like Nell, or are they going to make her crazy? And I don't know.
Right. Well, Free Willow, wasn't that a movie about a whale? Free Willy. Sorry.
That was
the other thing in this article that I sort of took contention with, and a lot of other people did. Elizabeth Corte was sort of playing off the Willow messing with Daisy was harmless.
Yes. Okay, I did read that. And I was like,
the complete opposite.
I'm like, are you a mother? Would you let some weird person do this to your child? I mean, that was not harmless.
That alone should make her lose custody, because it's like, you don't mess with a mother, first of all, and a mother who has a past filled with mental issues. And sometimes you wonder, what world do these writers live in? Because it's not the real one. This is the world where they glorify the homophobe, Natalia, and blame the woman who outed her as a homophobe, Ava. It's just sometimes this show is so off the mark.
And again, we have to remind people, we don't know what the powers that be way up high are saying, because they may very well have presented this really cool storyline, and the powers that be say, we're not going to do that right now, so fix it. And so we don't really know. There's so many layers to this.
And that's very true. Everybody out there knows I rewatch The Edge of Night on YouTube, and I'm in 1982 now, when the ratings really started to tank. And the reason why was network interference. They had Frank Gorshin from Batman. Play a character on the show called Smiley Wilson. Well, they thought that was such a big get for the show that they kept him on, and they kept extending the storyline that he was in, and it just went on so long it stopped making sense, and viewers started to tune out. And that is the danger of having a network interfere with your show and interfere with your music.
And it's not just daytime. Every single show that we see has gone through some sort of approval process more than once.
Right.
Before we ever get to see it.
But in nighttime and cable and movies and things like that, there are ways to get around it. I remember working on a show where we got a letter from the lawyer, and I think we at the screening party, I think we put it up on a wall and threw darts at it, because we did end up changing some things because there was no way around it, but other things we just ignored and it slipped through. But it's like, that's the thing you're always fighting about. I mean, one of the good things about daytime in its infancy was that the creator and the head writer of the show had autonomy. It was when you had a network start interfering with things that things got bad. No matter what you think of Gloria Monty and the days she ran General Hospital, they didn't mess with her. So it was her vision. Yeah. And I wish we could get back to that in some way. Valentini can be very good. We've seen it when he executive produced One Life to Live. Again, I don't know what kind of interference is these days, but you know it's a lot because ratings are not what they used to be. And they're just, like all the other soaps, trying to keep their head above water.
We've done with the trial. So we can move, like you said, we're on to the next phase. And Alexis knows she's guilty. Kai and Trina know she's guilty. And I think more and more people are going to, this is going to trickle out. And how will this affect what happens next?
Somebody said, one of the Snarkies said, they think Drew knows.
Oh.
Which would
Well,
be interesting.
That would be a really interesting twist if we found out. So, because what we've seen the last couple of weeks is obviously Willow being very turned off by Drew, and she's been rolling her eyes and doing all this stuff. But we've seen this really super lovey-dovey Drew. Wouldn't it be cool if it turned out he was just playing her this whole time? I mean, there are a lot of ways they could go that would make this interesting. I want to say, even though we have little quibbles and quirks and stuff, GH is more watchable now than it has been for years, and we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, no, it really is. If you watch the other shows, Young and Restless, Bold and Beautiful, Beyond the Gates, and even Days. Days is watchable, but Days now moves a lot slower than it used to. It's like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I want balance in my stories. I want things to move along. I want things to make sense. Days is doing all that right now. But now I'm a little bored. I'm not bored with GH. I will say that.
Well, because GH, part of our not boredom is that we know that at any given moment, there could be a hot mess happening on our screen just around the corner.
We always say they know how to set things up. Mm-hmm. They know how to start storylines. They don't know how to end them. Some of the setups they've had in the last year have been very good, and as we praise them this year in the Snark Awards, they've gotten better at telling these umbrella storylines that affect large chunks of the cast, where they're all involved and people have stakes in the storyline. When you do these little, what we call bubble stories, where people exist in like a 3 or 4 character bubble, and that's all you see them with. Which, when they give Elizabeth Baldwin a plot, that's usually what happens. Mm-hmm. She was in that thin bubble for so long, and it doesn't work. Yeah.
No, it does not. I agree with you. Obviously, we have what we are calling Pikeman 2026, which is the Dalton, Five Poppies, Brit, oh my gosh, is that phase on story. And
Cullen.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody now. So that is definitely an umbrella story. And I love that Anna is hallucinating in the basement of Windermere. And I mean, David made the point today. Anna Kidnapped is its own soap trope all by itself because she gets kidnapped about every other year. Remember, we gave Jack Brennan the worst villain Snark Award?
Yeah.
So, do you see now how they're going to redeem him? Because they made his boss an even badder bad guy. So Jack is going to throw off the shackles of his whatever, and he'll bust this open and all this, and he and Carly will likely make up after that. I mean, I'm really going down the road here.
It's almost like the writers are listening to us.
They're not,
okay, that's almost fine with me, writers, because, if you're writing as you go, we'll guide you.
We'll give you some tips along the way.
We'll give you some tips, yeah. Jack went from mysterious, foreboding, oh, is he evil, is he not evil, to, oh, he's a good character, back to evil, back to a bully. Now it's like, now we're back on the let's redeem him path.
Well, and we got to see our favorite set, the axe throwing place, where people are only inches away from the axes that are being thrown.
And is it me, or did those axe boards look like they were going to fall off the wall this week? I look too sturdy.
I envisioned the shooting of those particular scenes because obviously Steve and Kelly can't throw axes as far as we know. And so they probably had some guy off set just throwing him, hoping to get a bullseye, and he'd miss, and they go, next.
No. They talked about that on this week's Stone Cold.
Oh, did they?
Jackal. They brought in an expert, but Steve Burton, who supposedly had never axe thrown in his life, kept hitting bullseye all the time, And then the expert was like, well, why don't you do it? And of course, when he then tried to do it, he couldn't do it. But yeah, they brought in an expert for that, which I thought was funny. But,
So I'm enjoying the Jason Britt developing relationship.
well, it's gotten better. Yes.
It's gotten better. And I'm sorry, Brad scolding Jason reminded me of a chihuahua barking at a giant pit bull. It was like, dude, Brad, honey, back up. This is not, don't, just stop. Because Jason could literally go and squish him right down to the floor.
and people have bad memories because Brad threw out the Moss Pot reference, and they're like, well, how would he know? It's like, he was married to Lucas. He went over to Carly's.
Yeah, yeah.
Real short-term memories around here.
That's
true.
You.
That's true. I constantly have to remind Mama Snark. Oh, no, that just happened last week. It did?
I don't remember, so sorry.
Things that happened, moving back to things that happened last week, what did you think of the Gio-Emma next step in their relationship?
You know what? I was okay with it. And you know that I am a person who gets skeeved out with some of these scenes.
I addressed that today, yes.
You did. And one of the reasons I get skeeved out is because it's usually with characters I don't like, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to watch Portia and Curtis doing the deed. That's not interesting to me. I think the way they did Emma and Gio's scenes were very tasteful. They were sweet. It was young love. I had no problem with them whatsoever. I loved them. Yeah.
Yeah. Neither did I, other than noticing that love scenes in general, even the producers are getting squeamish with love scenes because they never go over like 2 minutes. And I remember back in the day, at least with the super couples, those things, they played the whole song. There was a lot of foreplay. There was, it was a whole big event. And now you get these 2-minute montages and then it's over.
But as you said, at least one, they did it in a bed, which was unusual itself, right? And two, they were still cuddling the next morning, which was very normal. And of course, they're college kids. This is a normal thing, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was well done. They weren't drunk. They weren't taking drugs. They were just being together. And it was lovely.
Yeah. Well, we like Gio and Emma. So
We do.
There you go. What do you think about bringing back Happy Hour at the Quartermains?
That was so funny and so forced and so Tracy trying to fill her role as this matriarch. With Monica leaving her the house. I wish they would explore this a little bit because now Tracy's like, holy crap, I'm the matriarch. I need to do the things that keep the family together, and we're going to do happy hour, and we're going to have pizzas ovens, and we're going to, all the things. And she's feeling a lot of pressure with being Monica's proxy in a sense. And I wish they'd explore that a little bit more. But I love the Quartermains.
So far they have. Although it amazes me at how much Monica did from her bedroom.
She must have had an intercom where she could make announcing. We are now
talk to everybody, right? She could talk to everybody
in the house. Cruise director on the intercom.
And of course, the scene that shook the internet, at least our followers, when Olivia brought the rifle down and Yuri was there last week. I was happy to see Yuri.
We're going to skip ahead here a little bit, and I'm going to talk about my character of the week.
Oh,
because for a hot second, I was going to make my character of the week the rifle.
It's a Halliday rifle. That's a good choice.
But it's not. I'm going to pivot. My character of the week is Ava Jerome and her interactions with Sidwell and Valentine.
Oh.
I loved those scenes. I love Ava. And if you notice, the screen caps I got this week, she was making faces like, I can't even believe it. I just find her adorable, and she could do anything.
Well, she knows how to work situations. She knew something was up, and she knew how to play it to Sidwell, and of course, have him do that momentary panic. Yeah. Does she know Anna's, here?
Yeah. That's the thing about Windermere is you can often have people floating around in there, and you have no idea they're there.
Exactly. Well, mine was a little more traditional because it had to be Alexis for me. Yeah, watching how she was going to navigate everything. I loved when she made the little slip in her summation to the jury, got
That was
Willow's name
well
in it.
written.
Yeah,
That
no,
you
the trial has
Yeah,
been well
very
written
good.
for once,
Hmm.
not over the top, not this would never happen in real life. And I could see where the two-person jury, it was four people one day. I don't know how it
At
got
one
down to
day, yeah,
two.
it's because they pulled in the makeup people and just put a wig on them and stuck them there so they can only see their backs
Yeah,
and their
yeah.
heads.
But I could see where they would come to that conclusion from the evidence presented because Alexis did a good job of throwing it over to it could be Michael. And then also Justine's counter questioning and stuff. It was very believable given the fact Ms. Kai and Trina detective agency don't know that Alexis is basically being blackmailed. This is how you can see your granddaughter. Otherwise, bye-bye.
Again, props to the writers. That whole setup with Alexis and having Scout hung over her head and knowing that Willow did it, and they complicated that in just the right way. And I agree with you. She was fantastic. A lot of people were like, why didn't she change things? Because she knew that Kai and Trina told her the truth. Why didn't she do the things? You guys, she could have gotten disbarred if she'd done that. All the things that Diane told her are true. And then you throw in I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to be disbarred. I don't want to not ever see my granddaughter again. Of course she did what she did. It was the
And
right thing.
because it was taken away from her before and she got her law license back. So, yeah, I
Right.
was
She's
looking
able
that
to
up
do that.
too because I was trying to remember and I did a post last week about how it reminded me of Nora Gannon at that time throwing Todd's rape trial because she found out the truth that he really did it during the trial. And of course, I included that 6-minute clip, which probably won her the Daytime Emmy for that scene alone, and how she threw it. And did she get disbarred? Was deemed a mistrial. She did get, I think, reprimanded by the judge, but in that case, she didn't get disbarred because I was wondering, again, looking up New York state law, what Diane said was absolutely true. So I was
Yeah.
wondering, how did One Life to Live get out of that? Now, again,
Well, that's
how are
what
they
was
going to get out of it?
when you can write a character into a corner like that. We know Alexis. We know she's morally right. We know she's a good person. Yeah, she's done funky things, but haven't we all? She did the best she could with what she had. And I agree with your character of the week. Let's just say that.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have a text message this week?
We
from
do.
Wicked Stepmother? How does she weigh in on?
So she sent this to me on Saturday morning after she'd watched Friday. And I hadn't watched Friday yet, so I didn't read it. So I'm reading it for the first time right now.
Ooh, okay.
Is Faison coming back? Will he be AI generated? Will he be a figment of Anna's imagination like Liesel was? Love the scene. Love the love scene between Emma and Gio. They have great chemistry, and they do. So thanks, Nina. Thanks, Wicked. We agree with you. All those things.
Yep. I love it. She's a fan, and she's sort of in the know from being in the business.
Yeah, and I know that most of the people watching are like, why on earth does Mama Snark do text messages from her wicked stepmother? And it's because Nina used to be on General Hospital. She was on General Hospital for a while, so she knows these people. Anyway, that's wicked stepmother.
And she's not so wicked.
No, not even a little bit.
Maybe if she was in Massachusetts, she'd be wicked cool.
Wicked cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, David, do you have a soap recommendation for us?
I do, and it's an oldie but a goodie. It is Cinderella from 1965, the 1965 version, starring Leslie Ann Warren and General Hospital's own Stuart Damon as the prince.
Right.
Remember that one?
I do.
That's the version I grew up on. I didn't know for years there was an earlier adaptation in 1957 because in the 90s, like we sort of had in the 2000s and 2010s, there was this love of let's put adaptations of musicals on television. That was a big trend the last 10 years or so, 10, 15 years. So Rodgers and Hammerstein were commissioned by NBC to write an original musical. Julie Andrews starred in that version. She was nominated for an Emmy, but
I had no
It was
idea.
only discovered about 25 years ago. There was a black and white kinescope that survived because it was a live television broadcast.
Cinderella, close the windows. Cinderella, my chair. Cinderella, close the windows. Cinderella, my chair. Cinderella, close the windows. Cinderella, my chair. Cinderella, make some tea. Cinderella, iron my dress, I may need it. Cinderella, lay my new gown for this evening. Cinderella, wash my gloves for tomorrow.
It was originally broadcast in color, but there weren't that many color sets back then. So that is why they remade it in 1965. Because the 1957 version was broadcast before color videotape was available. So they could only show that one performance. That's why they thought it was lost. So they decided to remake it in 1965. And to me, that is the ultimate version, because that's the version I grew up on. Loved it, had the cast album, bought it when it came out on DVD. But now you can watch it on Hulu, Disney Plus. It's also available for free on Roku, on the Roku channel, and on Tubi. Those who know it, it's wonderful to rewatch it, because when Stuart Damon first came on General Hospital in the late 70s, I had no idea that was the prince from Cinderella. I was too young to understand, that's the same guy?
Yeah.
But that's my soap recommendation for this week. It's a wonderful trip down memory lane. And also another soap star in the 1965 version, Celeste Holm, who played one of the Isabel Aldens for about a year in the early 90s on Loving. So check that out. Great cast, great musical.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So that does it for
Here
this
we
week,
are at the end, and we've talked about all the things. Well, no, we probably haven't talked about all the things. There were other plot points we haven't gotten to, but it'll be interesting to see what develops this week in the après trial period.
Exactly. And hey, give us suggestions for what you want us to talk about, because we don't have to necessarily just talk about last week's plot. Now, we're on Mondays. We can talk about Fridays. We can talk about anything you want. So make a comment. Let us know how we're doing, things you want to see on the Snarkcast. But we're here every Monday. And again, subscribe, follow us everywhere you can find us, because we appreciate that.
And we put a lot of information in the description below the videos with all the links, so you don't have to look for them. They're right there.
Exactly. Anyway,
right.
That does it for us. We will see you next week.
Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.